Every morning, the countdown begins for the markets with meticulous research and analysis designed to help you capitalize on the trading day. Beaming live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studio.
Good morning. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call. We are coming to you live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Prashant. With me, my colleagues Surabhi and Nigel. Guys, good morning.
Hi, morning.
Hi, morning, guys. I think we all were glued to the screens, right? 6 o'clock onwards yesterday, and those exit poll results are quite interesting. We have the US president who seems to be indicating that suddenly he realizes that H-1B visas are important, immigrant workers are important. So there's a lot going on this morning.
Well, that's right. And I know both of you all would have spent more time in the northern part of India, but I think there's a bit of a nip in the air. You all will say Mumbai cold, yes. But it's getting a little bit cooler out here, which isn't so bad. But from a pure Bombay boy, for me, it's a little cool right now. I come on my motorbike, so you're beginning to feel like we're getting into the winters, Mumbai winters, yes.
Sweater up, Nigel. It's going to get colder, as Manisha told us, right? Yeah. There's this La Nina phenomenon. So apparently it's going to be a really cool winter, both here and, of course, in the northern parts of the country as well. All right, well, I'll just quickly take you, lots to cover in terms of action, right? So let's start from the top. So the Bihar exit polls are number one. So they're showing that NDA is coming back to power with 148 seats. This is the average of all the polls which were conducted. Polling, the last phase ended yesterday. And of course, the voters are asked as they come out of the polling booths who they voted for. That's the exit poll for you. 148, total was 243 assembly seats. So, little bit of within that 148 number, JDU, some polls are showing will emerge as the seat party with the largest number of seats. BJP at number 2. But point is that the alliance looks like is coming back. Markets will be relieved, but the actual results are on Friday, mind you. It's just, go back to 2020. I'm not saying same thing will happen. 2020 exit polls got it completely wrong. And of course, the famous exit polls of 2015. But of course, back then, Nitish had, gone over to the other side, and exit polls got it spectacularly wrong once again. So this may not be the same, and it doesn't have to repeat, but that is what exit polls are showing right now. But I'm just sort of placing that word of caution from the last two exit poll dissonance with the actual results in the state of Bihar that we've had. Okay, now US-India trade deal. Government sources say India is waiting for a response from the US government, and a fresh round of talks not needed at this stage, right? Now, this could mean a bunch of things, but looks like what we are saying is, and the government sources indicating, is that something has been negotiated. We presented our sort of side of the picture in terms of what we can offer, what we can do, and of course what we would like. Now, of course, it's up to the US side to take it forward or not. At the end of the day, in the US, I think it's going to be President Trump who's got to decide what to do, not to do. So, but incremental move forward. And of course, both this Bihar election and the India-US trade deal, at least the perception was that, one will follow the other. The Bihar election is over and results on Friday. So, will this also move forward? Markets will sort of wait for that. Now, there's an interview which US President Donald Trump has given to Fox News, and he was asked about the H-1B question. And he said, you need to bring in talented workers into this country. And, the interviewer pushed back saying, well, we've got enough talented workers here in the US. And President Trump said, well, no, you don't. Now, the context is important because this will excite IT stocks and if they, perhaps some will interpret this as a U-turn on H-1B. But the context is manufacturing jobs, right? And you just need to watch the full clip. Two things. One, manufacturing jobs. What we are concerned about with H-1B visas, of course, is services jobs, IT services jobs. But there you're talking about manufacturing jobs. The other point, if you just listen to the interview, there is also this bit about South Korea and South Korean workers. The US wants, the background is US wants to build nuclear power plants, nuclear reactors. And South Korea is, one of the countries top of the field in that area. And they want workers, South Korean workers, to do that. So I would say temper enthusiasm on the H-1B question with regards to IT services, but we'll have to see what turn this takes. Now, US equities, just to kind of rewind the clock, finished mixed. S&P 0.2 higher, Nasdaq 0.2 lower. Tech stocks were down, Nvidia, CoreWeave. CoreWeave was down big, by the way. Some delay on AI data center build out. Tech stocks generally kind of took a bit of a backseat on the back of these two names. Now, bond markets, cash bond markets were closed, but bond futures rallied post the ADP, the private payrolls numbers came through. And yields, the bond futures fell about 4 to 5 basis points post the weaker ADP. That is essentially what happened. And I think it's showing up in Asia in a little bit. We'll talk about this. In terms of single stocks, there is FedEx, which jumped it expects profits this quarter to improve from a year ago. Cisco will report later today, and I think we'll watch that as well. Just to tie in the levels, yesterday, of course, was a sharp, big recovery. Maybe the market got a bit of an inkling of what the exit polls will show, but it was a marked recovery. So the Nifty yesterday crossed the 40-hourly moving average. It held the 40-day exponential moving average, and it crossed the 20-day moving average. So a bunch of things happened. So the stop loss now has been moved up to the 40-day exponential moving average, which is 25,421. Targets are 25,800 and 26,100. So those are levels on your screen. Bank Nifty, near-term target is 58,300. The 20-day is now moved up to 57,742, which is the support. And then the low of 57,157 comes into play. GIFT Nifty will give you a quick sense of how we're likely to start. It's 160 points higher. This is the market saluting the exit poll numbers. And, of course, a little bit of enthusiasm around India, US as well. F&O positioning, stats, how are we setting up? Nigel is standing by. Nigel.
Well, there's a few factors working for the bulls. And if this gap up that we're seeing on the screen, if it doesn't sustain by the time we wind up, we'll actually be disappointed because the exit polls are predicting that the NDA is going to be coming in with a thumping majority in Bihar. That's good. Yesterday's close was above the 20-day MA on the Nifty, which is also good. And the global cues as well are positive. So, it appears the stars are aligning and hopefully the markets can get closer to around the 26,000 odd mark. The biggest trigger, though, will be the India-US trade deal. And once that comes about, you'll have the animal spirits back. And then, in fact, you could expect foreign flows. You could expect high amount of enthusiasm in our markets. So that's the bigger to track. But otherwise, you'll want to end closer to the higher end of the range for today's trading session. Yesterday, one positive was the FIs, they have been selling, last few trading sessions. Yesterday, the sell number was sub 1,000 crores, which is relatively low in comparison to what we saw in the previous trading sessions. What about index futures? They went ahead and they added closer on 2,000 short contracts. The short positioning is at around 87%. And in absolute terms, they're closer on 1.6 lakh contracts on the short side from an FI perspective, while the clients are long with more than 1 lakh contracts on the long side. We should get that up for you. And normally that combination isn't so bad. Clients long, FIs net short. Moving to the options data then, the 25,700 call, well, that was fairly active in yesterday's trading session. The premium is around that 200 rupees or thereabouts, while on the downside, the 25,500 put as well, good amount of open risk built up, premium at around 60 rupees. Which brings us to the levels. Today, it appears that the Nifty is going to be starting off closer to around the resistance zone, off around the 25,900 odd mark. The 25,900, the 26,000 mark, that's the crucial resistance mark that you're looking at. On the downside, the recent lows that we have visited in the last week itself, 25,350 to around 25,450, even going by the options data, that's going to be important. On the Nifty Bank, that yesterday as well did a relative underperformance, but you'll want it to find its form. And if you're looking at levels, well, the recent high will be important, 58,500, while the reference point on the downside, which it has been defending on a closing basis, is the 20-day MA. Though intraday, you have been seeing sometimes that number getting violated. In terms of stocks that you're looking at, maybe a couple of these stocks that have BR exposure, like Aditya Vision, good amount of exposure to Bihar. We'll have to see how the stock behaves. It's come up decently from the top, actually, 10% from the top. So that's just one of the stocks that we'll be looking at in today's session.
And if I could add, I'd also be looking at the capital market stocks as well, because Gro is listing today. And the indication is in the so-called grey market that the premium has once again completely come off 3-4%. That's about it. Remember, they're offering shares at the issue price is 100 rupees. We'll see where that listing ultimately goes, but that'll keep the capital market space in focus. Just a word on Asia. Asia is actually a nice shade of green, almost all markets, including markets like Hang Seng, mainland China, Shanghai Composite, All those markets are up and about. Japan is up. In Japan, the biggest news point, obviously, is SoftBank. SoftBank shares this morning fell as much as 10%. They've recovered a bit, but they're still down 6% after SoftBank went and sold its entire stake in Nvidia. So that continues to be a big talking point. But otherwise, it's a positive-looking screen and a largely positive handover from Wall Street as well, giving us the sense that we will start on a fairly optimistic note, 150 points up as far as the implied open is concerned.